Each Kirblog I make gets me through the day. Every click you bait, every sub I take, you'll be watching me. This is my first last-second Kirblog I've done in a while. I've usually been pretty on the ball with getting these out in time, and I intend on getting this one out in time, but I'm recording this on 4/20. I don't smoke drugs, sorry guys. Late at night, so this will be going up immediately the next morning. Anyway, this question is going to be kind of a sequel to the one that I did this past weekend. This one comes from Elvin the Spaceman. My question is, do you think animation is not really a market on YouTube? I've seen lots of animators stop or reduce putting up animated content because as much as they love animating, they can't make enough money doing it for YouTube. Also, would you ever consider making Tome a TV series? Or if you got the chance, would you make something original? So I'm going to tackle the second part of the question first about something. I'm assuming the spirit of your question is like if you got the chance to make a TV show, whether it was if I got the chance to make a TV show, whether it were Tome as a television series or something else entirely, would I? Yes, I would like to. As far as Tome specifically goes, I don't really feel the need necessarily. I mean, I guess if there was an offer to do like a new version of it or something, like maybe I would, but I would be more interested in doing something completely new from the ground up, as opposed to making another version of Tome, as a TV series. There are other things with that IP that I would want to do, and there are different ideas that I would want to do in the form of an animated series. But that's just to punch that one out. The first part of the question I'm going to address and have that be a little bit more of the central topic of this one. Before I get into it, I would recommend, as I have been doing recently so I don't repeat myself too much, or rather make you have to listen to me repeating myself, go check out any of the three following Kirblogs: Animation, Working Together, and then Our Perception and What We Watch, and then finally Fame and Fortune on the Internet. Those three are kind of going to cover some other potential things that I might be touching on briefly in this one here, but you can listen to to those for more details on them. Do I think that animation is not really a market for YouTube? I think that the internet is a place where anybody can create anything and put it out there, and people can enjoy it and absorb it as content. As being a this term that's been created for us now as a content creator. Regardless of it being animation. Anybody can do anything and just put it up on the internet, and immediately it's there. It just exists. So there's that to start with. But as far as does animation have a place anymore? As is kind of the sort of dire part of this one. And it's a valid question because Elvin is correct. There have been numerous animators that some of which have flat out, kind of given up, which is kind of unfortunate. But a lot of them that feel they need to, compensate for the lack of money that they make off of animated content on YouTube, in favor of doing other stuff like Let's Play channels and, and review shows or whatever, and, usually also circumventing that with commissions on the side or a day job, etc. Obviously, you guys who follow my work know that I picked these Kirblogs as something that was just very personally me. I didn't really have too deep a thought in my head about doing any sort of gaming related stuff that so many people have been doing, including other animators, some of my peers and colleagues and things. I would, if I'm going to do something on the side that isn't animation, which this is what you're listening to right now. I went into this with the idea of, hey, I want to do something that I'm actually passionate about, and that's talking about different things that I'm interested in, because as many people can tell you who know me, I like to talk a lot. Well, you don't have to ask them, because you know from listening to these that I can talk for 700 years about stupid bullshit. Like Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball's not stupid bullshit, and don't let anybody ever tell you otherwise. Anyway, my point is, I chose to do this as, to make, in order to be able to make any sort of money or any sort of extra living on the side, in addition to when I'm able to get my animated content out at the interim. This is something more consistent that I can update with to let people know that I'm alive and that I'm working and I'm staying productive, and at the same time being something that I actually care about, as opposed to I'm just going to play video games and record it and make a thing out of that, because that's completely original, right guys? Now, you do have to compromise, and you do have to play it smart because, as the question was kind of implying, you need to be able to make a living. Not everybody can always necessarily make a living doing what it is that they love 100% of the time, especially when they're first starting out. But I mean, there are professionals, obviously, many who are, masters of their craft and are able to stay afloat with, jobs involving what it is that they, studied and what they're passionate about and what they love to do. And, when it comes to stuff on TV, people are talking about, we're talking about animation both on TV and the internet here. Those professionals are the ones who are working on television. Those are masters of their craft that are working in real studios or sometimes even just from home or whatever if it's freelance. And, they have to meet a certain standard that is improved by a lot more people. And, there are a lot more restrictions and limitations and hurdles that you have to jump over. And usually those are set in place for, perfectly good reason, because they don't want to just hire douchebags off the street. And, I think that there's the security of that in the case of when you have a job like that, you can make a much steadier living. There's much less, worry about, oh no, how am I gonna survive or whatever, because also what I've kind of gathered from the animation industry is like, it's very much a big community between each other. If one person is working at Nickelodeon and, a show that they're working on finishes up, or if the season's up and they cut back on people or hire new people or whatever, there's other shows to work on at the same company, or sometimes there's other studios that you can get connected with and work there instead. Look at how many people have bounced back and forth between Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, and Disney, at different points, and they've been all over the place, and they've all had a lot of success in different places. Even creators of shows that we love and watch now, worked on other ones prior to that. And then they got a lot of their own shows picked up and, hired, their friends and the ones that they want to work with. And then, some of those people move on to have their own shows as well. It happens all the time. And I don't know if there's so much like kind of an equivalent of that online. I think people definitely get inspired by other people's stuff in the same way, and then it leads to them wanting to produce their own content. But you definitely have to be more strategic in terms of doing animated content on the internet, because a lot of you guys, if you follow my work and if you're into, YouTube animator stuff in general, a lot of you guys have probably seen a lot of my peers and colleagues, commentary in general on, the YouTube algorithm and how it's affected people who do animated content on YouTube in general. The TLDR, the big switch that happened was it became about time watched and other such things, as opposed to how many clicks that you got or whatever. There was a time where animators could make a very handsome living. Well, not a handsome living, but they could make a living doing this entirely on YouTube. And now it's changed completely, and now a lot of other stuff has to happen, in addition, if they want to, be able to make any sort of money. I'm in kind of an interesting position because with Tome, there are very few, if at all, any other series online that single episodes are that long, and so in that kind of way, I'm sort of beginning to learn how those differences are going to affect me, because when I have when other people have 1 minute long cartoons, something as short as that, or maybe even shorter, believe it or not. And then they have to, if they get 1 million views, then, they can balance that out. But in my case, my episodes are lucky if they hit into the 6-digit range after a while. Episode 0 of Tome has only been up for maybe about a week and a half so far. And, it's only at the point that I'm recording this, it's only got, I think, a little over 30,000 views, maybe more. But, that's only in that time. And there's other people who produce stuff and then they get multiple times that amount of views in one day of their cartoon being up. And I've also talked ad nauseum about when it comes to, the animation that you produce, the actual content, there has to be some pandering involved in terms of it's got to be about these pre-existing things. It's got to be parodies, or it's got to be spoofs or tributes or whatever, fan stuff, etc., whatever combination that thereof. And I don't fully believe that is, necessary to do this. I mean, as people can tell, I haven't done parodies in a few years now. And the truth is, probably what I'm doing in some ways is very foolish. I'm being kind of experimental in that I have content that technically kind of fits the specifications of what YouTube's algorithm is, where it's more about the amount of time watched, because the stuff is longer for how many people would tune in. But I don't know. But because my tome isn't like tremendously popular compared to other stuff, I don't know necessarily how much that weighs in. I would be interested in say like something like RWBY, or otherwise the other few shows that are that long on YouTube. How kind of that adds up for them. I imagine they probably make a lot more money. But and in my case, like, I've said this a million times in a million different Kirblogs for sure. I don't even have to link something here specifically, but the type of stuff that I'm doing now is what I always wanted to do from the beginning. When I became an artist, the parody stuff that people knew me for back in the day was the product of my early time on Newgrounds, doing a lot of those cartoons and just being hypnotized by, oh man, I get immediate attention and popularity and sometimes even money from doing parodies. I got very much swept up in that, but then had a reality check of like, this isn't what I wanted to do in the first place. And now I'm doing what I wanted to do in the first place, knowing full well that, again, it was an uphill battle. It was going to be, it still is in a way. And I'm only able to make a living because of, this stuff and commissions that I get in between, and, sales from merchandise and Bandcamp and et cetera. And, voiceover once in a while if I'm lucky enough. And, but I find that the struggle of that is completely worth it, because I'm doing everything that I want to do on my own terms and in my own way, And I, again, kind of to circle back to also the second part of this question is, I would love to work in a studio. I would love to get my own TV series or do a movie or anything, something with a lot more monetary backing. I've been very lucky and very blessed that the monetary backing I have is also, at least for Tome Season 2, come from the very dedicated, followership of the series. And I've gone on and on about how infinitely grateful I am for that. And, I hope that maybe in the future, if I were to do something like that again for another project of some kind or whatever, that, I'll still have that support. I can never guarantee that, of course, but, I try not to take for granted what it is that I have in this current setup that I'm in. I don't feel the need to sacrifice, I guess not even my integrity, but like just what it is that I love. I don't feel the need to sacrifice what it is that I love in favor of being able to live. And maybe that's a very like privileged thing to say if you want to define it that way, but I don't know. I try to not take it for granted. I try to take it very seriously that this is what I have, and this is what I'm able to do to the best of my ability, and all I can do is continue to push forward and do better with each thing. And and what I want to do also is, to go back to another earlier point, is I want to make the internet more of a place where people can submit and create and do a lot of different things, and not just have to adhere to whatever is proven to work 100% of the time. There have been, although they're far and few between, there have been many examples of like, hey, somebody tried something totally different than anything else that had ever been done on the internet specifically. And sometimes it's a case of, oh, well, they could do this on TV, but the perception is different, or just something that can't even be done on TV. I mean, look at Homestuck. Homestuck is something that's only capable from the way that it was on the internet, and that's not exclusively animation. That's it's more so leaning on the side of comics, but still, it's the same basic idea of like, if you stick to your guns, it's going to pay off. And I think that the internet, for all of its double-edged swordness, I think can still really lend itself well to that. And I don't want to necessarily give up on it. There's nothing, for all the shit that I've seen and all the crap that I've been through, through all my over a decade of being on the internet and enveloping myself in this world of entertainment, animation or otherwise. There's nothing that's made me want to turn around and be like, you know what, this isn't working. But, there's still so much more that I want to do, and I'm going to aim to do it in whatever way that I can. If the internet is there for me as a platform to continue doing that, then I'm going to continue to use it. And I think that's going to bring us to a close. So what do you guys think? In the comments below, please let me know your thoughts on, do you think that animation still does have a place in the YouTube market? Do you think that there are different things that, other animators could try aside from, starting Let's Play channels or whatever. I'm messing around with that stuff, obviously. But no, I want to hear your thoughts if, there's other things that you think are possible to do. If you've heard a lot of this discussion about how, this whole deal changes for all of us and how we have to manage it so we can keep making stuff that we love and that you love in return. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you have ideas for future Kirblog topics, you can leave a comment about that too, or you can hit me up on Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, anything you want. And I'm getting back into normal Kirblog topics again. These have been a lot of fun. I have a particular one planned for this next weekend coming up. I won't say what it is just yet, but I'll just say that it's one that I've been sitting on for well over, I think, a year and a half now. I talked about it very briefly at the end of 2013, and now I think I'm finally going to do it. I'll probably be joined by some special guests. Hopefully that one will be on Saturday, and look forward to it, whatever you think it might be. And otherwise, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you all later. Bye-bye.